Hello there, this is Kush Sharma from Creative Pad Media. In this tutorial, I'll be showing you how to create consistent characters quickly and in a way that they really look like the image that they were generated from. Now, usually this whole process of creating consistent characters involves, in the traditional way, involves writing very detailed and consistent prompts and then heavily relying on face swapping apps to do the job. Now, that process is longer, more frustrating, and sometimes the results are not very reliable. So this, in my opinion, what I'm going to show you is currently one of the fastest ways to get good quality consistent characters using AI. So we're mainly going to be using two tools for this. One is called Segmind AI, which works with Stable Diffusion. It's not completely free, but you will be able to use it for free for a very long time, as I'm just going to show you once you create your account. And the second tool that we will be relying heavily on is Fooocus AI, which again works with Stable Diffusion. If you don't have Fooocus, it's completely free to install on your computer. You can run it via Google Colab. If you don't know how to set this up, you can watch the video. I've given the setup video link in the description, so you will be able to set this up inside 90 seconds completely for free. So I've also provided all the images that we will be using in this tutorial. The link to download them is given in the description. Now let's get started. The first app that we will be using will be Segmind. So you'll just see this login button and you'll just have to create an account with them. So you just need an email address. So once you're done, I'm going to meet you at the dashboard. All right, so this is how the dashboard looks. The first time when you come here, it might show you some prompts like where did you hear about the web app and all these things. You can just mark anything. But once you do see this, you will see how many credits you're left with. So they provide you, when you create a free account, they give you like $1. That just means basically the number of credits. And every time you do generate these AI images, it reduces it in the form of cents. Okay, so just like any other system, it's just that they probably just give this in the form of $1. And you can see I'm down to 0.14. And with each generation, it keeps on changing. So there's no fixed amount of how much of those get reduced. Okay, sometimes it's like I've seen 3 cents, sometimes it's like 2, whatever. But you will be able to at least generate around I would say 25 to 30 images even on the free plan, so which is pretty generous. So once you are here, what we are going to do is, since we are creating consistent characters, you're going to go to this option that says Model Hub, and you will then type in consistent characters here. So they have a lot of models, but we are looking for this one. So you just type in consistent, and there are 5 of these. I've already didn't really need to try this, this, and this, since this was for animated beings. But for this and this, I've already tried, and this one was the better one because it allows you to generate the consistent characters by giving it a reference pose, which was not the case in this one. Okay, so we're going to click on this one, and it's very easy to use. We basically get there are 3 things that are important. First is we'll just have to write the prompt. Second is that we'll have to upload the real headshot of the real life portrait, okay, here. And then we can attach a completely different image which has the pose that we want in the AI generated image, okay. So these 3 things we'll soon just fill this up. A couple of very important points here. Just make sure you uncheck this option that says use input image dimensions, okay? Because what's going to happen is input image is this one, and we are soon going to be uploading a cropped headshot, which is obviously going to have, it's going to be of a very small resolution and a size, right? So we don't want to use the dimensions of that. So I don't know why by default they give you this option. So make sure this is unchecked. Otherwise, the image that you will get, it's obviously going to be a blown up image made from a small image, and is going to be of a very bad quality. Okay, so just turn this off. And in the advanced parameters, you can choose, if you already have some kind of an aspect ratio in mind, resolution in mind, you can choose this. I think this by default is fine, like a square. And output format, PNG is fine, but I usually like to go for JPEG, and I just like to increase the quality to 100. That's not too important. And what is important is filling up these 3 things. So first of all, let's upload our headshot here. So we're going to delete this and let's put it here. So I have given you this particular headshot, but we're not directly going to use it, okay? Because you can see that this headshot has like this pink background behind. And what I've seen is if you just directly upload things with like a colorful background, then it takes into account that color also in the generated images. Like for example, later on, I'll be showing you some images in this folder. You can already see, right? It has that pink on the wall. So if you don't want that, what I would like to suggest is that you can just go over, say, just hit cancel right now. Just go to this app. I've given the link in the description, Pixelcut.ai background remover. Let's upload our headshot image here, and with a single click, it'll just remove the background. All right, so you can see that this is processing, and just like that, the background is gone. And now we can upload this particular image in the model here. So we've got this here. The second thing that we now need is another image in which there'll be a reference pose that we want in the generated image. So for this also, I have provided you one image, which is this one. So we are trying to generate a pose which is like this, and this image can be of anyone. It doesn't matter the person. They is just going to analyze the pose from this. So let's also attach this here. And finally, we need a prompt. So for this, we're going to basically use ChatGPT because that just make the process really, really fast. So if you go over to ChatGPT, let me just show you what I did here. If you click on this plus icon, you can upload the files or attach the files. So I just attached both the images together, okay, the pose one as well as the headshot. And then I just wrote prompt to create the first image, but the woman should be from the second image, our headshot image, okay? So you can see that ChatGPT understood that, and it can just gave us this really nice looking prompt, which would have been tough to write on our own. Now, sometimes when you do this, when you attach multiple images together, sometimes, okay, ChatGPT can get confused and it might think that you're asking it to generate an image. If that happens, not a problem. In the next prompt, just write that I didn't mean for you to generate the image, just give me the prompt, because I've seen that happens quite a lot when you are dealing with multiple images, okay? So now that we have this, we can just go back here, delete this default prompt that they had. We're going to paste this, and we've already made these important changes. So we're now all set. We're going to hit generate, and let's wait for the results here. All right, so I hit generate and nothing happened. And I quickly realized there was one issue, which was that because remember, we had removed this background and downloaded it as a PNG image, its size, file size had increased a lot, okay, after using Pixelcut. So what I did was I took that same headshot, the PNG one, and I just used this free online tool called Image Resizer. And here I just resized it to 1024. And the moment I did that, you can see the new headshot is here. So just reduced its size, and you can see that we went all the way from, this was like almost 5 MB to something like 400 KB. And now I just went back here and I uploaded this one, and now this time it's gonna work. All right, so you can see that now we've got our image, and this looks absolutely amazing. Very, very close to what we had in the headshot. In fact, I would say pretty much identical, right? Which is not the case with a lot of the different AI tools out there which generate these kind of characters. And because of the prompt, it has taken a similar dress. We have greenery in the background. However, if you notice the hair, can you see that it still retains, because in the headshot where we had removed the background, on the edges, it was still taking in that color, right? So that is also getting reflected a bit here. It's not a big problem. I'll just tell you how to correct this later on. It's not going to be that tough. But the main thing is we've got overall a great looking image. Now we are going to download this image, and I'm just going to show you that these Segmind generations have a bit of a problem, which is if you zoom in, okay, they do have a lot of these artifacts and noise all over. Okay, so now we're going to basically take this inside Fooocus, and we're going to generate a much cleaner version of this, and it's just literally going to be a one-click process. So let's go to Fooocus and let's hit input image. And we're going to go over to in paint or out paint, and let's upload this image here. And now what we will do is we are basically going to use this option here, which says in the inpainting method, we're going to just use improve detail. Now I can, if I want to do this throughout the image, what I can do is I can just hit enable advanced masking features and just basically hit this option that says invert mask while generating. What this means is because we haven't painted, think of it like this, because we are inverting and we haven't painted, is basically painted this everywhere. And now if I was to put in that same prompt that we used in ChatGPT, so let's just copy this again. Okay, even though the prompt is not 100% compulsory, it always just helps to just give it the context. And now it's basically going to generate this or improve the details all over, and you're going to see that everything just becomes really sharp, clear, and nice. But here's the problem with that. It will also, even though this method, okay, let me just shift it to improve detail, even though this method is, you can think of it, the in painting is very less aggressive. Okay, think of it like this, but it still changes a lot of things, especially the face. So what you want to do when you do this is to avoid the face. So we already have this option checked which says invert mask when generating. If we just paint over the face, what will happen is it's going to basically work everywhere apart from the face. So when I say the face, I also like to protect the hair, okay, because I don't want the hair to change. Because if you think of this whole thing that we're doing, the power of Segmind was that it generated a very close face, and we don't want to lose that strength by losing the face. I'm also going to be showing you that you can actually change the in-painting strength, and that can sometimes preserve the face. I'll talk about that later, but right now we're just basically protecting this entire area, okay? Just think of it like this. And try to get as much of the hair as possible. But like I said, the hair can be corrected later on also. So now, because we have this option enabled, this is going to improve the detail everywhere else. Okay, so all we need to now do is just go to the advanced tab. We're going to go over to quality performance so that we get the best images. Let's go for 2 generations, should be more than enough right now, because if we're not really changing anything here. Output format, I would just select JPEG, and that's about it. I'm just going to hit generate and let's wait for the results. All right, so we've got our first generation. Let's open this up and you can see that this looks really nice, because if you now look at the areas, let's just download this so that we can zoom in. And you're going to find out that except for that the part which we had masked out, which was the face, everywhere else is going to be super clean now. You see we don't have any of those issues, but we still have it on the face a bit. Now, first of all, this is not such a big problem because the face should be a bit detailed. However, what is the way out of this? Let me also show you. So since we already got our image, we really don't have to wait for the second generation. So we can just right now stop this process. And what we can do right now is, one of the things that I have been experimenting with is that let's just remove this image. Let's just close this and let's upload our new downloaded image here. Now in this image, what we can do is, let's just forget about the hair right now, because even if those artifacts are there on the hair, it's not such a big problem. It's not easy to notice, but at least on the face, and this is something I've tried, but it didn't really work very well, was that let's say now, I just only want to work on the face. So this time I can actually uncheck this option, okay? And what I tried was, again, with this method selected, went over to the advanced options, just click on developer debug mode. And under in-paint tab, we can actually change the strength of the in-painting tool. And what I did was, I thought that if I reduce this, it's going to have less of an impact and it's not going to change. Because if we leave it at the default, it really changes the face a lot. So the value that came closest to improving the detail and yet not changing it too much was, in my experiments, was something like this, between 0.25 and 0.3. Okay, so let me just show you the results. Let's just generate these images again, and you're going to find that you are going to get a decent balance. All right, so we got our first result. Let's just open this up, and this time you can see, right, the face is a bit different. What we're going to do is let's download this and let's put this side by side to the image where we didn't use this. So let's do that. All right, so now you can see the results. This is the original one, and this is with 0.2. You can 0.3 in painting strength, or between 0.25 and 0.3. And you can see, right, this definitely is closer to the original. This slides to differ, but like I said, this is the point at which I feel it gives a good balance between not changing it too much. So this is one of your options. At 0.2, somewhere around that range, what I saw was that it basically made no change, right? Those artifacts were still there. And anything above 0.3, it really started to change this a lot, okay? So that is one way that you can just reduce the strength and maybe generate something like this. Another way is that you can actually use, let's say, another AI tool to do a face swap, because that's going to be much quicker than you doing a face swap in Fooocus. So I like to use Remaker. It's works pretty well. So you can upload the original image and the target face here. So this time we're going to use the first image that came out of Fooocus and the headshot here. And this is completely free to use. You'll find the link in the description. You're just going to hit swap and let's wait for the results. So let's hit download now. And this time now, if we zoom in, the face pretty much stays the same, but you can see that this time we've not got any of those issues with those artifacts. In fact, sometimes this tool can just make it too smooth, Now, so for the final step, what I like to do here is just to the overall image, I do like to add a bit of noise. And I'll also just show you, in case you want to correct this color issue, we can do both these things inside Photoshop. So let's open up Photoshop. All right, so we are inside Photoshop. And since we'll only be using the manual tools inside Photoshop, you can do this using a free replica of Photoshop also, which is photopea.com. The moment you go to the website, you open up the image, the interface looks exactly like this. All the functions also work exactly like this. So you will be able to do this completely for free. So once we have this image, first of all, let's get rid of this problem which we were facing on the edges of the hair strands. So for this, we can use the hue saturation adjustment function. So I can just open this up. And here I can take this hand tool just to determine what color this is, or what Photoshop thinks it is. So you can see it is red. And now what I can do is I can just turn down the saturation a bit. You can see, but most of the times Photoshop also recognizes skin tones like this as red, so it's going to impact this, but that's where we have the mask for. We're going to come back to this and just localize this to only this. So just mainly keep your eye on this. So one is that I've just turned down the saturation, but the main difference will come when we just move this hue slider, which is actually going to change the color of the pixels. So if I just move it this side, you can see that is the side which is taking away from the reds. And at this point, you can see that all those bad looking colors have gone. Only thing is this has affected the entire image. So what we can do is if we just double click on this layer mask, the white layer mask, you'll get the properties, just invert this layer mask. So right now, whatever we did with hue saturation adjustment function is not being applied anywhere, but wherever we paint white on the image, that means on the layer mask, it is going to start to reveal that. So we can take our brush and make sure the foreground color is set to white and you have selected the mask. Right now, just on these areas, we can just run this over. And you can see that is going to get rid of that problem just on the hair. If we show you the before and after, you can see that job is done. Finally, what we can do is let's just stamp everything onto a new layer using the shortcut control command Alt Option Shift E. We can just add a bit of noise because remember the Remaker tool, it just makes it too smooth. So just to the overall image, what we can now do is just go to Filter and Noise and add noise. And just have a zoomed in look mainly on the face here. And we can just, not this much, but something like 2.4% in this case. This is going to differ from image to image, but we're just going to add that and just going to slightly give it, a type of look which you can expect coming from a DSLR or a mirrorless camera because it's bound to have that much amount of noise. And finally, once we are done, we can export this image. All right, so now comparing these images side by side, this is what came out of Focus before working on the face at all. That means even before using Remaker, and this is after Remaker and Photoshop. So you can see this one looks more cleaner. But if you're only using things for social media, even using something like this won't be bad in any way because there is a slight difference in the face, but I think overall she looks like the original person, so that's not such a big issue. Also, a lot of times when you do use Segmind, it can change the direction of the eyes. When that happens, let me show you what you can do. So I'm just going to show you what I also did with the second image that you saw in the start of the video where she was holding a guitar. So let me show you all the images that I used to generate because the process was exactly the same. So for this particular image, what I had done was that I had used the headshot, but this time you can clearly see from the background that I hadn't removed the background in the headshot. So that pink stuff was seen in the background, but I didn't mind it in this shot because it actually gave the wall a very cool look. I'm soon going to be showing you all these images because they all have something different. This was the pose image that I had used. So I've also given you these images so that you can practice this using the same approach that I showed you for the first image because there was pretty much no difference except for one thing where I had used one of the tools to change the eye direction. I'm just going to be talking about that, but let me just go in sequence here. So this was what I had got out of Segmind, okay? And this was pretty good. She was looking like the original person. Of course, it had some issues like the hands. In this case, AI is always going to mess them up. Very soon I'll show you how I improved them also. And then the second step was actually this time I did the face swap first. Since I already knew that Focus is going to mess up the face, and I'm going to protect it anyway in the in-painting tool. So it doesn't matter whether you do it before or after. So here, I actually did the face swap first. And you can see I got this. Then I wanted her to look at the camera. So this is all before it went into focus. What I did was I used a pretty cool tool called Reshot AI, which is completely free to use. Let me just show you. So this is the tool. I've given you the link to this in the description. Let's just upload that image which doesn't have the eye change. Right, you can see this image. She's not looking into the camera. That's what I wanted. And that's where you get this little joystick. And you can just, it takes a bit of trial and error, but you will see that her eyes start to move here. And something like this. So it'll just take a few amount of tries, but at some point you're going to get a look in which she's looking in the camera. Once I had that, that is the time I actually went into Fooocus and did exactly the same thing. I basically protected the face and then just used the improve detail method to just make everything nice and sharp. And also, you can see here, if you look at the hands now, she's actually playing a chord and her hands look good here. So now this is something that you'll have to learn. So I've got a dedicated video that I released just 3 days back, which shows you how to use Fooocus and a couple of other free AI tools to improve hands in AI images. You can see the link is hovering on top. I'll also leave the link to that in the description of this video. So that is a very long video, 18 minutes. You can watch that and then you'll be able to get hands like this also. So this was the process for the second shot. Now for the third shot, I just want to show you a completely different tool which just does the job with a single click. So for the third image, what I did was I basically used a completely different approach, which is a one-click approach, by using this web app called AIConsistentCharacter.com. And how this works is they basically just give you 1 credit when you sign up. So you can only do this once. But for getting like a close-up shot, this is not a bad idea at all. After let's say you've generated some images using the other methods and you just want to generate a close-up shot which is slightly different, this is a fast way to do that. So once you have created an account, just go to this option that says create consistent character now. And here, to be frank, you really can't do too much. First of all, let's upload the headshot here. And again, make sure you do upload the one without the background so that we don't face the color issues. And this time I'm just going to type in something like studio portrait of a woman who is looking in the camera and smiling. You can type anything. And the reason for that is it doesn't really produce, like if I was to type in something like full body portrait or something elaborate, it just doesn't take that into account. It just gives you like a very close-up kind of a shot, okay? And you can see we've just got 1 credit, so we can just use this once. And that's about it. You really can't do anything with this tool, but it's a fast way of getting this image. So let's just wait for this. And you can see that this is not bad at all. So one thing that I liked about it, yes, it's very limited in its usage, but if let me just save this image and let me just show you like a blown up version of this. Like you can see, right, the quality is pretty good. Yeah, the hands probably, I think they're not even messed up. That this looks pretty good. It's slightly a difficult pose where she's, playing with her hair like this and still looks good. And the best part here is that if I zoom in, it doesn't even have too much of that issue of the artifacts and the noise. So if you just want something simple and like a waist up shot or a head shot and you want to generate it quickly, I think this also works fine. So let me know what you think, and in case this video helped you out, do give it a like. And in case you want to follow along all my experiments with the different AI photo editing and image generation tools out there, then make sure you subscribe, and I will see you next time.